I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
We gotta know how many wieners are going down these dudes' throats.
I want to go quick because I don't give a fuck about anything that's going to happen on Saturday.
Hello, boys! We're back again with another episode of the MMA Analysis podcast. We're recording once again during the Contender Series, so we'll be popping in, talking about those fights. I know we had some good fun last week with Gumby, making his mark. I mean, he ended up getting a contract, didn't he?
Yeah, hell yeah, he did. Dana saw the size of that cup. He wanted to be an Eskimo bro with him.
As you can see, we got the Sodsman here. We got, the Canadian passport, Shaun as well. So we got live fights to talk about. We got last week's event that new Shaun was at. So let's just kind of jump into it. Last week's card was pretty good news, Shaun. What do you give that in the live grade perspective?
Really good.
Live, I would say it was probably a B.
Ooh.
What?
Wow.
They had
wow.
two...
This is like harsh criticness of grading.
Hey, they had two horrible fucking women's fights on. There you go. You can't have that to get higher than a B from me. That's just the way it goes. You call me an asshole you want, but you put that... And it's not really fair because, I mean, Canada has lesser women's fighters and they got to throw them on the card, so that's the way it goes. We're kind of stuck with it, but it was a B, B+. There was some awesome finishes. Obviously, the top two cards.
I want to ask you a question.
What's up?
Which fighter has more scar tissue?
Ooh.
Alexis Davis, Frankie Edgar, or Diego Sanchez?
None of those. The right answer is Eddie Alvarez. Because holy shit.
Oh.
Yeah, man. Did you, underneath his eyes, instantly puffs up and, gets cut instantly. He
Alexis Davis does too.
Terrible, yeah. Alexis Davis is pretty bad too, but holy shit. What Eddie looked like after that fight was gnarly. And I feel like that's every fight that he's in. He just gets puffed up so quickly that scar tissue underneath his eyes is brutal.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, continue your okay, the women's fights you didn't enjoy, shock of the century, and then
what else? I felt the fans were pretty shitty. It was pretty quiet in there until later on the card. Most people did not show up until the main card, which I've been to some smaller cards with Trish and stuff like that, and most of the people usually show up decently early, and there hasn't been fights in Calgary in 6 years, so I thought they'd show up more, but and then there was a bunch of assholes that are annoying and woo all the time, and then there was
Ric Flair?
Yeah, just constantly, and I just wanted to absolutely drill these guys.
How did that become a thing?
I don't know, but it's a thing. It's fucking contagious, and it's absolutely brutal. It doesn't matter where you are, it happens.
Yeah, it does. All right, Wes. How's everything going with you? How's the grass? How's the horse racing?
Things are pretty decent down here in the Bluegrass State, man. Just over watching these Tuesday night fights, and got a little preseason soccer going on. So yeah, things are good, man. How's the legal sports betting life going up there in the Garden State, man? Read today that y'all are going to be able to have mobile betting here in just a couple short weeks. That's pretty fucking awesome, dude.
It sure sounds that way. Yeah, I've been making my way over the Meadowlands. I've been there, trying to make it over there, at least once a week. Place my bets. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's a decent setup because right now there's just a bar and there's couches, so it's kind of got a loungy feel. And you go up to the counter, place your bets. You maybe not get the best odds overall, but sometimes you sneak out a pretty interesting price, and you just got to play your numbers, and you collect money pretty easily. No one's bothered me there, and it's a pretty simple process. And they got the live betting. Oh, someone just got killed.
Damn.
Man, I'm telling you, that guy's for real. He's getting a contract for sure.
Yeah, he impressed Dana because he almost killed somebody.
That guy's good, man.
Jesus,
that was pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, New Jersey's kind of rolling along. There's later this week. I think 3 Atlantic City casinos are adding. I think all the Caesars Harrah's properties are all going to be adding sports betting. It's going to be an option there, and then I think Mississippi just legalized. They're supposed to be starting legal sports betting on all those riverboat casinos there this week as well, and I'm sure other states will follow suit pretty quickly. So things are moving fast. Yeah. It's good.
Jesus,
I mean, I don't see the issue. So.
The faster we can get away from sketchy offshore and sketchy, local books is better for everybody. I think. Absolutely.
Who needs that? Because that's the thing with the books locally is one thing, obviously, and I just think when we need to get rid of a situation where people are betting on credit, because that's I think where people potentially get in trouble and.
Yeah.
Aren't betting with real money.
That's exactly where they get in trouble. Yeah.
That's exactly what happens. So
where they get in trouble, yeah.
You have to physically go to a book and you have to use cash. Because, with online, you can just kind of credit card your way through, and that's not real. You can make a case that's not really real money either. Until it's done and you've maxed out a card and you could look like an absolute idiot. But when you actually have to use hard cash, and you can't bet without hard cash. People are going to bet smarter, and it's just a lot more. There's just a lot more protections, and that's what I'm really about. Is real betting with protections. I think that's
my only one thing that I've always had. I think most people a big problem with even online books and a lot of it happens in Vegas too, but just. The not letting winners win, I still have that's got to be sorted out, man. If guys can come in there and win $10,000-$15,000 on a game, you gotta let them bet that, in my opinion. But I get it; it's all max and profitability. But when you're bringing in millions of profits. Stopping somebody from being a winner and I just hope they get that right too. But you're right. The big thing of it to me is just protecting the bettors, man. I think we all know we've all probably bet on 5 dimes, and Tony is legendary for his shittiness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be treated like that when you're a customer of any product. And that's what gambling is to me personally. I don't try to do it as a living or anything. For one, I'm not that good, like most people. But to me, it's entertainment. I'm a customer of your entertainment, and I think I should be treated like a customer if I was going to a movie or anywhere else. So. It's pretty cool though, man, and I think Kentucky's probably about a year away. Though Indiana probably have it before us very soon, and there's a casino literally 15 minutes from my house. So, yeah, exciting times, man.
I wonder if it'll affect with the whole legalization in the States. I wonder if it'll affect the books at all, that they'll have to start doing some nicer things because guys will have options now for doing it in person. You
mean like the online books offering even more
better prices, better bonuses, something to bring customers in, because they're going to be. There's obviously things you can't bet in person, but they're for sure going to lose a bunch of the casual bettors that are just betting the normal lines on like football.
Especially once the mobile apps come out, people that want to bet things every single day.
That's what's going to cost them. When the mobile apps come out, that's when they're going to feel it. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, personally, I like the in person just because. I mean, not just to mention that you can just get your cash and you can walk in and walk out. I mean, you don't have to give your information. You don't have to show your credit card info. Like, there's very little trackability. I mean, unless you're betting thousands of dollars a game, and then then they're going to start probably tracking you. Or like, I think it's if it's over $5,000 that you have to. Then you'll be taxed just like any casino. But I mean, you're still off the grid, and I kind of like that. So that's why one thing I like about in person, like I have yet to be asked, show your nothing, not a lick. So just one thing to keep in mind.
Once they start getting more and more, each state doing their own regulations and stuff. I like here we've had horse racing here for so long. There's so many laws and regulations and shit that protects the consumer and shit. But like here, it's I believe it's $600 here, and you have to fill out, you know what I'm saying, a W-4 or whatever the fuck it is. I'm not sure what a price point should be on sports gambling, but I would figure eventually somewhere, around $1,000, couple $1,000 to where you're going to be doing that. Like I said, here with horse racing, anything over $600, you have to fill out a tax form.
Brutal.
But we also have like a lot of things that protects you as a consumer of that product too. That's the good part. It's just how much is that protection going to cost us? It can't start costing us so much to where we just go back to the online books. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not worth it. But I'm excited, man. I think it's really cool. I think it's about time that and marijuana legalization is just two things that's holding this country back so much that just doesn't have to be. That's especially like here in my state, our legislative body here is still rich old white people that still think they still think it's reefer madness, and they still think that the gambling is when all the whores came to town and everybody were fucked, so it's like we got to get those people out of office or to start thinking differently. When you got potholes and your schools suck and shit, and then you turn and you look over at like Denver and they literally have some of the nicest roads and nicest schools and everything else because of weed, it's time to start thinking a little differently.
Hell
yeah, man. Money comes in. I mean, the whole point of the legalizing is so the state can collect money, right? Like hypothetically, the state collect money on these, we'll call them luxury activities, for lack of a better term.
Entertainment. It's entertainment.
You call it a VAT tax or something like entertainment, whatever you want to call it. And then you don't have to tax as much on necessities. That's where I kind of believe in. It's just. I'd rather luxuries be taxed and then necessities aren't taxed. I think people would, I think people would be more receptive to that. Like, don't tax me on the money on my job and my salary, but if I want to buy a luxury car, tax me more than if I want to buy like something more economical. So, whatever.
Yeah, a lot of states. There's some states that's already at that point. You know what I'm saying? You don't pay state income tax on your wages. You pay on the shit you go buy. And
that's taxes and things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean,
especially like in Florida, for example. Yeah.
And then like here, I mean, my state's so poor that we're literally 30 years behind on teachers' pensions right now. Like teachers coming up in a few years literally are not going to have retirement. Like you could legalize gambling like tomorrow, and people in this state watch like the casino that's right over in Indiana that's literally 5 minutes across the. Like 70-something% of their revenue is from Louisville. You know what I'm saying? Sure. So it's like people sit here and watch all that money pour out of state, and you can't even pay your teachers' retirement. something's wrong with this pitcher. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are going to do these activities. They're not hurting anybody but themselves, if that's what it gets to. Let people do I'm all for letting people do what they want to do, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else.
Yep. We are of the same philosophy in that regard. I know we have, different places and, different upbringings and whatnot, but ultimately, I mean, the mindset is still the same. I mean, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, you really should be allowed to kind of what you do. Anyway, I think that's the most political we'll ever get on this podcast. But that's
just
related to gambling. As obviously, this conversation is going to continue, especially with the legalization. Kind of, I think it's going to be pretty rapid. I think it's going to be faster than weed, just because of there's going to be less pushback, I think, overall. But anyway, I think it's probably time we should jump into last week's fights and kind of recap them. So Devin Powell somehow actually got his first ever win in the UFC, knocking out Alvarez. I'll kind of reel off the rest of the Fight Pass card. Nina Ansaroff beat Amanda Marcos, their Canadian loser, by decision. Dustin Ortiz with the biggest prop cash of the night with that head kick knockout of Mateus Nicolau, and perhaps the most moment of the entire night. Mukagian got a win over Alexis Davis. You'll get a theme here: Canadian losers, except for the next guy, Shaun McDessie. There's a guy that has a lot of scar tissue. Ross Pearson just mauled him in a wide decision. Let's start it off with the guy who was at the card. New Shaun, thoughts on those early prelims?
Yeah, I'll just circle back. I mean, I obviously had lots of fun at this card. Trish came up. We also went out and had some beers with friends of the MMA Analysis, Aaron Bronstetter.
Nice.
For TSN, and James Lynch was there from MMA Odds Breaker.
Oh, nice.
And
those are our two favorite Canadians right there.
And even Nick Baldwin was drinking some Smirnoff Ice that night. So
loved it. No, he was not.
He's young. He's 18. He just turned 18.
Is that legal? Is that legal in the prairie states?
You betcha. We get it young. 18 years old and you can drink. So he's trying out all the different kinds of liquor.
Canada's not 18. Is Canada like by each province has a different age?
Yeah.
So is everyone 18? But there's some 19s, right?
Yeah.
Is anyone 21?
No, it's BC's 19. Saskatchewan's 19. Ontario's 19. Like it's Quebec, I believe, is 19. I'm not sure, but yeah, most of them are 19. Alberta's 18. It's awesome.
It's walked into one.
Man, there's some heavyweights going to town on this fight card.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
But yeah, it was a really fun opening fight. Didn't expect that from a couple of lesser fighters, but it looked like Herrera was doing his thing to begin with, and then Devin Powell just throws a body kick and shuts the lights out. It was that was nasty. Obviously a woman's fight went to distance. At least I cashed on that. I got a little too cute with Dustin Ortiz. I missed the boat when his money line was really big, and I was like, fuck it, I'll take it. Take him by decision. And then of course he just head kicks Nicolau through his hand. Like, I don't know how that dropped him. I don't think the head kick really hurt him. It definitely dropped him, but the follow-ups were really nice.
The hammer fists were nasty.
Yeah, he landed like every single shot he threw on the ground and put him out there.
It could have just knocked his equilibrium out, that head kick, and then the hammer fist put him to sleep.
And then the Mook went decision. Yeah, don't care about that. And then McDessie Pearson was a lot of fun, and I was a bit surprised. I thought it'd be closer than that. Pearson just didn't really have much for McDessie.
This fight is such a joke. Sorry.
It's all good. I'm watching it.
I think Lance put a bet on Dontel Mays. I said, don't waste your time with this moron.
It's Mays the black guy?
Yeah.
Oh.
I just did.
I was in Contender Series last year and was god awful. Like, he got put on his back for 14 straight minutes. Wes, your thoughts on the early prelims?
Yeah, that Powell fight was pretty fun, but those are just two total fucking mooks, man. They both of those guys are horrible. Women's fight over, goes the distance, whatever.
All day.
Yeah.
That was one of my top master or gamble master plays. Actually, was that over? Yeah.
And Ortiz, man. I think we all kind of was talking about this on the show. I talked about it pretty much all week. That was a bad spot there for old Nicolau, man. That Ortiz is a tough dude. He's almost Darren Elkins like, man. He's a tough out for these young guys. And man, yeah, he got one there. I had a couple hundo on plus 185. I thought that line was just insane. But like Shaun said, I had no idea that he was going to win like that. I mean, anybody that said Dustin Ortiz was going to knock him out
in the first round.
I think the prop paid out plus 1250 or something.
Yeah, and a head kick at that, not like landing some big punch. But yeah, that started my night pretty damn well. And yeah, another women's fight. We can go on by that. And yeah, I was totally wrong about Ross against McDessie. I thought it was a fairly close fight for a couple rounds. McDessie was definitely winning, but I didn't really think Ross was totally out of it. But man, that third round, holy shit! Ross kind of started going for it, and you could tell who the more technical stand-up guy is, and McDessie looked great in that third round. So yeah, I got that one totally wrong, but it was a dog shot on Pearson at like right around plus 170. So I'd probably make the bet again, man. But going forward, Ross is just, man, he looks. Yeah, he's done, man, and it's crazy because we thought McDessie was done just a few fights ago, and he's gone on a pretty good streak now. So, yeah, but Ross is definitely on the no bet list going forward.
I'll say this about McDessie: he's a very good to great counter striker, and when guys are willing to come forward, and once they open up, it's just a huge advantage to McDessie. It really is. It just. Once you kind of open him up and you kind of winging punches, I mean, you just open yourself up to like a master counter striker who's just gonna pick and pop you. He's gifted. He's just not an amazing athlete, and if you pull him, you can do that, and that's really it. I mean, there are ways to beat him, but opening yourself up and winging punches is literally the last thing you're gonna do. And once Ross did that, it was clear as day. Going to run away with it. So,
holy shit!
Yeah, there's a lot of blood in this Contender Series fight.
Fat boys are swinging.
Yeah,
I don't know. Mays might run out of blood by the end of this fight if it goes 3 rounds.
This white boy though, he keeps literally running face first.
He wants it
every time.
Well, he's at such a size advantage though. He really should probably fight at 205. He could probably lose some weight and fight at that weight. Anyway. Televised preliminary card. Our boy came out to Bret Hart. Yeah. Cute labia.
That cute labia, baby.
TKO of Gazarmat Antagulov first round and some elbows. It was good times. Loved everything about that. New Shaun, what'd you think of that?
That was a beauty. I bet cute labia plus 137. I was a little bit worried when he got taken down, but he moved to the fence really, really quickly. He's definitely gaining some knowledge on the ground just to protect himself. And Antagulov just absolutely tired himself out by going to just wrestle mode 100% of the time. I think that's his only shot in this fight, but you can't keep up that pace, especially when Cute Labia was defending it well. And that finish was pretty beautiful. Just that standing elbow just collapsed him. Beautiful. Love it.
Wes, we're talking about a 24-year-old Eastern European fighter. There's something here, isn't there?
Yeah, and in a division that's just, begging for some young talent. And, like Shaun said, I was more impressed about the bad spots he got put in this time and got out of. Because just a year ago, he would have laid on his back there and probably got subbed. But yeah, I mean, you gotta like a young cat like that, man, with power like that. I will say about him coming out to Bret Hart, and so I post a Friday night, Saturday morning fucking dumbass tweet like I always do of Bret Hart, young and old, and literally had fucking somebody worked up on Twitter like, that's just not right.
So
That's
soft.
like what are we doing here, man? Like, seriously, what the fuck are we doing? Like, there's so much shit going on in the world, and we're gonna be mad about somebody like I'm not making fun of stroke victim Bret Hart. You know what I'm saying? Like these people don't even know anyway. Like, I even tweeted, like, I was watching Bret Hart wrestle when I was 6 back in the 80s, dude. Like, he threw his glasses to me one time. Like, I had those things for like 20 years. I ended up giving them to my little brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, legit Bret Hart glasses with the fucking rubber little
the visor thing, yeah.
You bet.
Yeah, literally front row at Freedom Hall, and got Bret Hart's glass. Like, I love that guy growing up. It's a dumbass fucking Twitter joke. Like, chill the fuck out, man. There's worse shit going on. Like, seriously, chill the fuck out.
So good.
All right, I'll ask you guys this: will you take? I'm going to give you odds and a bet. I want to know if you take the bet or not. Iron Cute Labia will main event UFC fight card plus 150. Do you take those odds?
Within one time in his entire career? Are we putting a time limit on this? What are we doing here?
Say by December 31st of 2020.
Oh yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
They'll randomly go to some fucking weird country.
I mean, Leon Edwards main evented a card.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
if he wins 2 more fights in a row, he might be in a main event right there.
Yep.
He's going to be a top 5 light heavyweight. We're right around that.
Let's see.
I mean, some of those guys got to retire at some point.
That's fair.
If they haven't already. And he's got a fun style, so I could definitely see that.
And they're going to go more and more fucking Eastern European and shit going forward.
Who's that guy they signed from M1 who's never lost?
Is that the guy
fighting that middleweight?
A crazy fucking dude that what's his name?
That deal is really. We haven't talked about that deal, but that's pretty interesting. My God, this guy's bleeding
shit.
Like too. Where did that cut come from?
Man, Lance going to win by cut stoppage?
He might. We got to take a look at this. Blood.
See, this is how you cap these fights, G. You just do like Lance. You pull a fucking shirt on. You see who doesn't look like the fatter, slobbier motherfucker, and you put your money on.
Damn.
You gotta take a look at that.
Bleeding too.
But yeah, like Wes was saying, they're going to be making some trips to Eastern Europe with kind of all the talent that's kind of coming from there. So
that Moscow card, man.
Yeah, it's
picking up full steam ahead. Hell yeah, it's gonna be great.
So that M1 guy, is that the guy that's fighting Thiago Alves? Is that who he's fighting?
I don't believe so. But I'll take a look.
Thiago Alves is fighting another one of those.
Another undefeated fucking M1.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That dude is fighting. No, that's the dude fighting Thiago Alves.
Oh, it is.
Alexei Kunchenko.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Tyson Wolf is facing Des Green. Peter Yan is facing Douglas Silva de Andrade. That's going to be great. Krzysztof Jotko is facing one of these new guys, Adam Yandiev. Merab Devashvili is facing Terrion Ware. Arlovsky and Abdurakhimov. Omar Akhmedov against Dalloway, and then Hunt and Alexei Olenek. That's only like 7 fights. I mean, it's already pretty good. Lance might win a bet.
I know. I'm seeing this.
Plus, they're going to have
this guy's just bleeding a fuck ton. He might just be.
Those Russians going to be over on like some fucking green tinted vodka, and that motherfucker too.
It's going to be great.
They're going to be ecto cooler fucking dripping everywhere.
The pressure to stop this.
It's got to be
Look
over.
at that.
Look, it's a pool of blood underneath him. Sipe or Seep,
Literally
whatever
a
is
pool.
fucking.
Yeah,
It is a
stop
pool
the
there. It's
fight.
an army.
It's moving. It's just there's just so much blood.
Ay.
Yeah, it's gonna be in his eyes and shit.
You can't even see. There's no way he can see.
My
my
God.
God.
That was a nice,
Run. There's no way he can see. He's going to be unconscious from the blood loss.
that was a nice elbow that cut him open.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Just kind of a step in.
Yeah,
got him
just
right at
sliced
the
him.
point.
Oh my
Those
God.
are getting more and more prevalent in MMA
It's
now.
like a 10-second round to me, just based
Oh
on
my
blood loss.
God! Like you can't even. And he's bleeding on top of him too.
Look
Like,
at it. Look at the splatter. Look at this.
Who's refereeing this thing?
Look at the splatter that just keeps splattering above his head. That's fucking
Oh
awesome.
my God!
Yeah.
We're not stopping. There we
He doesn't know
go.
what to do.
Boat fucking
Finally stopped.
time. Boat
And it's just
fucking
one
time.
to based on blood.
Plus 300 right
This
there
guy
for
can't
Lance.
even see. Got the other dude's blood in his eyes. This is bad.
Well, it's over.
He had 2 units on it, so it was
That's
like 40
that's like a
bucks.
Mick Foley blood. Man, it's brutal.
2 units on the old plus 300. Jesus.
$40.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Pretty good hit.
So next up, we got Mac and Cheese versus Cajun Johnson. Me and Trish were joking that before they even read the decision, they had already cut Cajun Johnson, the poor guy.
Did I?
No, I'm just fucking around, but
Well, I mean,
I'm sure it's coming soon.
After he did that whole handshake thing with Dana, they probably cut him like immediately. Like, what are you thinking, man?
Yeah,
You can't do that.
we
shit.
saw him after the fight at a restaurant. He was not too happy. He was pretty somber, but obviously
He was thoroughly beaten by
Yeah.
an excellent fighter. I mean, that's just
that was a really
They
nice
were getting
armbar
healthy.
by Mac and Cheese. Like I did not expect that from him. You know, you get these wrestlers, you expect, you know, the guillotine, the rear naked choke, kind of the more basic chokes, but he saw that armbar and snatched it up. It was very, very nice.
Yeah, it was. And he's going places. You like that one, huh, Wes?
Yeah, that guy's, man. Yeah. We all know how much you like those dudes from that region of the world, man. I don't do, but Mac and Cheese is legit, man. Like Shaun said, just grabbing that armbar and shit's just showing different skills. You know what I'm saying? It's not just him on top, you know, pounding somebody out. That was some legit
Is he
skills, man.
ranked?
No way. I bet you.
Did they come up with the new rank? Well, that's a crime because he should be, but that's another story.
Let's
take a look.
That's
at the
lightweight,
rankings.
right?
See if we got new rankings today. That's lightweight, yes. Let's take a look. See if we have new rankings. I'm guessing no because they hate America. Yeah, we don't have it.
Wednesday, July 25th. So yeah, they have.
Francisco Trinaldo is still ranked. Okay.
Hey, that's Grandpa Trinaldo.
Why the hell
Michael
do they?
Kidd is still ranked.
Man?
Yeah,
Like, you know,
I would. Go ahead.
Hooker is 14. Alexander Hernandez might move up one spot.
Yeah.
He was 13. Chieso is 12. Vic 11. Quinta 10. Nate Diaz is still ranked at 9th. Anthony Pettis is 8th. Okay.
like Jeremy should really. I wish would he could follow through and had the time to actually set up and make a fucking website and do rank and let like 25 people that we know off of Twitter literally put in rankings for weeks. I bet that I really think that shit would be more popular than any other ranking site that anybody goes to change, because the other ones are just shit. They're totally fucking shit.
Mm-hmm.
They make no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, I think Mac and Cheese should slip in there, and unfortunately, Grandpa Trinaldo's going to have to drop out.
That's not saying much.
No.
His name should probably be in there too. Who's the Division I wrestler that Lance loves? Oh, what the hell is it?
Gregor?
Grigor Gillespie? Yeah, he should be in there too.
Is it 45?
I mean, Tysomoff would be another. I mean, there's several.
Is Gregor 55? I thought he was 45. He's 55.
55er. Yeah,
Oh,
yep.
okay.
Right. There's several. But here we are. Duwadu redeemed himself a bit.
Didn't shit the bed.
Didn't, but I mean, he did well. I mean, were you overly impressed though, Shaun? Because I wasn't.
No, and I don't know if how tough Austin Arnett is. Maybe he's this tough guy, but I liked some things from Duwadu. Is that low kick that he was throwing? I thought he could have thrown that even more and maybe finish this guy after he couldn't walk. But he definitely didn't follow up with it as much as I would have liked in the second and third. It's a win. Maybe it just gets that win out of the way. Maybe we see a lot more stuff next time, but a little bit underwhelmed, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. What did you think of him, Sodsman?
Yeah, I just thought he played it safe, man. You could tell he was fucking levels above homeboy. That, like Shaun said, that low leg kick was just working him over. I think he had to get that win at home. He played it very safe. Guy's got skills. We'll see next time.
All right. And then the televised main event, Jordan Main just wrestled Alex Morano.
Tried to piss it away, though.
Yeah, he did.
Both these guys are so bad.
Yep.
Yeah, Jordan Main, he does throw some fun shit, and I would just... they should just match him up in fun striking fights, because he's not going to go anywhere with what he is at this point in his career.
Nice, watched.
He's pretty washed, but yeah, he definitely tried to piss away that win in the third. I thought he was going to lose, but
it wasn't. Yeah, there was an opportunity. I don't want to waste any more time on that fight. So, one fight I do want to talk about, though. I know we lost our bet on this, but man, I gotta say I came away pretty impressed with All-American Alexander Hernandez. Definitely. He out-wrestled Ohm throughout this fight. Impressive, no, Shaun?
Definitely impressive. Did not expect that from him. Thought if he was going to win, he was going to get the knockout or beat up Ohm quite a bit, but he was able to take him down repeatedly. Got in a tiny bit of trouble, but not much. What was really impressive is I thought he was going to he looked gassed a bunch of times, and he was still able to push through and take down Ohm. And Ohm looked like the way fresher fighter, but Hernandez could just get that. So impressive from him. He's definitely got something else that to go with his pretty powerful strikes. So he could be somebody to watch against some upper echelon fighters.
Yeah. What'd you think of that one, Wes?
Yeah, I mean, I was wrong on this one. I was on Ohm pretty big. I'm still not ready to completely jump off that Ohm bandwagon. He ran into a good guy. I think Hernandez is pretty damn good. Completely undersold him coming into this fight. And yeah, he kind of impressed me, man. Him out wrestling Ohm like he did was very impressive. The dude is fucking jacked for the weight class. I don't know what his cardio is going to be like when he gets pushed by somebody for 3 rounds that can wrestle with him. That's still going to be kind of a question mark to me because he's down in that 3rd round for sure. But yeah, I was impressed by Hernandez and still not ready to jump off the Ohm bandwagon. I think Ohm's still learning a ton, and he just seemed off in that fight, man. I don't know. It seemed like he was almost like he was sick or something. He just didn't seem right to me, but whatever. He still got beat up. Yeah, Hernandez. Looking forward to seeing what he does next.
Fair enough. Of course, we had the women's bout on the main card, and it looked like Joanna looked pretty good. Didn't look like she lost much. Definitely got the best of Tisha Torres. Shaun. Were you impressed with this performance? Were you expecting something different? What'd you think?
I was actually a bit worried. I had Joanna in a parlay, and then I also had her points handicap -3.5 at like +120 or something like that. And I was a bit worried that I wasn't going to cash that. I mean, Torres looked all right. I was a bit worried that the judges were going to see her pushing up against the fence. Like, she wasn't doing anything, but we know how these judges are, so I was a bit worried. Joanna is always going to be suited more for a 5-round fight. She's a bit of a slow starter. She picks up the pace after, like in the third round and on. So I'm not surprised that she didn't look amazing to me, but she's beat everybody in the top 5 except Rose. So she is still a really good fighter. Sounds like she was actually going to go to 125 before the UFC offered Tecia Torres. So curious to see if she fights Rose again. Like, I don't know what you do with her. Maybe she goes up and fights at 125 for the belt against Shevchenko once she absolutely annihilates
Montano.
Yeah, whatever her name is.
I think there'll be a lot of interest in a Joanna versus Valentina fight. I mean, they've done striking fights in the past before MMA, and it could be really interesting at some point. I'd like to see it. Wes, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think Shaun got a lot of it. If you watch that fight on TV like most of us did, it really wasn't close. I mean,
yeah, that's what I kind of figured after I saw the cards.
There's just such a size advantage, and Tecia really couldn't get inside, and that was the issue.
Yeah, I get what you're saying though, Shaun, like with the control up against the cage and what judges are fucking watching these days. We don't know, but watching it on TV, it was a blowout, honestly. And I was on the same stuff. I had JJ in a parlay and took her points after Shaun had mentioned it. And yeah, I mean, I thought she looked good. Like Shaun said, she's always a slow starter. Pretty much how every one of her fights goes. I don't know about another Rose fight though. I still
it's tough
feel
to
like
make that fight. I mean, it's already happened twice.
Yeah,
like,
I feel like she can win it though.
Oh
like,
yeah, for sure. Like I think that second fight was a coin flip at the bell. So, but it's just tough to do that when you get knocked out in the first one. It was kind of more of a boring fight the second one, even though it was really close. There aren't really many options, but I mean, I guess you do that, right?
I think it's inevitable that they get there again though. There's just nothing, even if, you know, Joanna fights another one, Rose defends her belt again. I mean, they eventually there's just nothing really else there. Yeah, her moving up is kind of intriguing as well. But who knows? It's a really difficult thing when you're dealing with the lighter weight women's classes, man. There's just not that top end talent, you know. There you have like a few really, really good fighters and then a bunch of fucking shit that nobody wants to see fight. So it's really tough to matchmake those girls. But yeah, we'll see. I thought it was a good bet though. I thought she looked pretty good after coming off 2 losses.
Co-main event. To me, the highlight of the night and one of the better moments of 2018, Jose Aldo landing right hand, left hand body shots literally to the same spot on Stevens and then putting him away on the ground. Great fight, great moment. Shaun, what'd you think of that fight?
It's a bit tough. Obviously, I've hung out with Stevens and partied a bit with him, so obviously I was cheering for him. I bet fight doesn't go the distance at plus, I don't know what it was, 135 or something like that. But if he had to lose to a guy, especially in this situation where Aldo's at in his career, I don't mind him losing to him. Watching it live, I thought that Stevens was closer to finishing Aldo. I rewatched it on Monday just to kind of get a better perspective. And, I mean, he hit Aldo there and then flurried on him, but Aldo's head movement was awesome to not get clipped in that flurry. And then I think Stevens, got tired a bit from that flurry, and then Aldo just placed those 2 amazing shots to the body and just put him away. Might have liked a couple more strikes. Stevens was holding on before he kind of rolled over there, but I'd probably also be pissed if Stevens got flatlined after 2 more strikes on the ground. So it's a tough job for a ref. But and then Aldo, just after the fight, just so happy, running into the crowd, hugging BJ Penn.
That was awesome.
It was awesome to see.
That was fucking awesome.
Happy for Aldo, even though it's tough. But yeah, he's still awesome. And when you throw hands with him, he's going to throw them back. I think his hands have got even better since he started boxing in the last little while.
Wes, what'd you think of that?
Well, man, before even, breaking down just the fight, I even tweeted it, man. I've watched this sport from the beginning, man. I've seen thousands and thousands of fights, and that was a moment, man, that I'll never forget. It's just some fights and moments give you a feeling afterwards that just is undescribable, and that was one of those fights, man. And it ain't just, it wasn't just all about Aldo. I like Jeremy Stevens too, man. He, most people don't realize that Jeremy Stevens has like 30 UFC fights. Like, he's one of the most tenured guys in the promotion's history. But like Shaun said about him running out and was hugging BJ Penn and shit, man. If that doesn't give you the feels, I don't know what you're watching the sport for. As far as the fight, man, going in, I couldn't say it enough. Aldo he doesn't lose to these guys. And as great as Stevens isn't Max Holloway. He isn't 18-second knockout McNutty. That's who Aldo loses to. That's it. Max is a one-in-a-generation fighter to me. There's not going to be many like him. The Aldo going in, he's not just by age younger than Stevens, but Stevens been in far more wars than Aldo has. That one shot Stevens landed, the chin held up. I mean, it held up nicely. Like Shaun said, those hands, man. If you've watched some of the tape that Aldo has gone and sparred with some guys over in Garcia's gym, he looks good against literally world champion boxers, man. So his hands have really improved as well on the feet. He looked great, man. Just all around. That's one of my favorite moments ever. Seriously, no bullshit. That's one of my favorite moments in MMA. It was so awesome, dude. Just, yeah, I love it, man. Getting a half a chill talking about it.
There it is.
Main event time. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I feel like this fight's been talked ad nauseum for how it ended. But Dustin Poirier knocks out Eddie Alvarez. Obviously, there's the issues with, how this fight, was moved from the cage to the standing. So I honestly don't want to even talk about it just because it's, like I said, it's been talked about ad nauseum. But you got to give Dustin credit, though. I mean, he's a guy that has shit the bed so many times in the past, but in these last couple fights, though, I mean, against Justin Gaethje going toe-to-toe, going against Eddie toe-to-toe, he's found a way to finish. It feels like he's turned a corner, huh, Shaun?
Yeah, I mean, the dude is 8-1-1 in his last 10 fights, and he's not going against some bunch of easy lightweights. We know how tough the lightweight division is. He fought some really good guys, Joe Duffy. He did lose to Michael Johnson, but that's one of those ones where
left-handed, by the way. McGregor left-handed, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah, he shit the bed there. But yeah, and then he was in that war against Eddie Alvarez that ended poorly. But then he mauled Stevenson, put on a pretty good fight with Gaethje. He was able to survive there and overtake and beat Gaethje, and then here was another impressive win. I had Eddie by TKO at plus 330. I just put a half a unit on that. That wasn't really close. Even when Eddie got to a dominant position, I didn't think he was anywhere near finishing him or gonna do any kind of big damage. Definitely have to question Eddie Alvarez's fight IQ after a couple of these fights. I know it's a fight in there, and I know his coaches were telling him to do things, but he still did them. He still need him in the first fight, and he elbowed him in the second. You can't do that.
Eddie's now going to be 35 in January. So,
and and another thing, we gotta remember to just straight fade guys who are fighting out their contract, because I feel like you'd be making a decent amount of change just from what we've seen in the past with a lot of guys losing that last fight. When if they win, they'll get a big raise, but they seem to lose. And Eddie was another one of these that it was fighting out his contract and he lost. So we'll see what could be next for Eddie Alvarez. Michael Chandler, number 3. That'd be pretty fun. Yeah, this is a mauling in Contender Series.
I don't know if he's going to finish, but this guy he's the best fighter I've seen on this card.
He's good. I don't know that one dude is looked pretty damn good too, but
that Hennish or whatever, the white.
Yeah, maybe, but he's really also Heinisch is also what? Is he 29, 30?
This fight's over.
He's 29. This
Roberts guy looks good too, man. Yeah, he looks good.
Roberts is 5-0, and he is 24 years old.
Well, David said, I like you.
Are they going to give him 5 contracts? Oh, well, no, they're not going to give him 1
tattoo, though. That tattoo might be one of the worst MMA tattoos ever, and that's saying something. It's shit on his chest is just about Money Squad.
Oh, man.
It's bad, dude.
Dude, it's Florida. Shit happens, man.
All right.
He's easily the best fighter I saw. Like in terms of potential, I think easily the best one of these 5 fights. Yep. I'd be stunned if they didn't give him the contract. He can wrestle. He's fast. Never even got himself in trouble. Solid. Didn't really see any flaws, to be honest with you.
They might give out 3 contracts on a development deal tonight.
Yeah, I think they're going to give Roberts a contract, Heinisch a contract, Griffin a contract, and maybe Adams on a developmental deal.
Yep.
I think Mays misses again.
Yeah, well,
Dana might just be nice because he's a heavyweight and he fought last year and then he came back.
Nah.
I hope it is. Don't do it, please. Don't
let him get short notice fight, get knocked out.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What are your thoughts on the main event?
Well, quickly, just a couple caveats. I'm happy for Poirier, man. I love that cat. That guy is a balance machine, and he said it over and over. That dude has never taken the easy way. That dude has fought the best of the best. Never turned down a fight. Always brings it. I respect Dustin Poirier like few I respect in MMA, and that's saying something. And then the other thing with the elbow. Look, I get it. It's an illegal elbow. It should be called illegal. But we're all kidding ourselves if we haven't seen that same exact type of thing happen.
We're talking about this here. See,
just let me finish this, and I'm moving on. That happens all the time in MMA, and when it doesn't hurt a guy or change anything of the fight, the positioning thing, refs warn them. Refs will literally say, "Don't do it again," and the fight continues. That should have happened there. It's still Eddie's fault, and he got everything he deserved. I'm not defending that whatsoever. I just want consistency. That's all I want with refs and judges.
Good luck with that.
I know it's never going to happen, but I'm going to bitch about it until the day I die because it really, that's the worst part of this sport. It is just totally terrible in this sport, and it has been for everything else has evolved except those parts.
Yep.
It's never changed. But I'm happy for Dustin, man, and like you said, Mark Henry, his coach that was telling him to do that shit. Mark Henry is one of the best coaches in MMA. That was dumb to do on the outside, but that's Eddie's fault. He's in the cage. He can't look over and be like, oh, I see a 12-6 elbow, so I'm going to just drop a 12-6 elbow on somebody. That's dumb. He got what he deserved, and I'm happy for Dustin. He deserved to win that fight.
Eddie also held the cage for about 5 seconds to stop that first guillotine. They didn't really show it on the. I don't think they showed it very much on the card, but I was like facing that fence, and he literally hung on for like 5 seconds.
Yeah. They showed it, and they also showed that I don't think a lot of people seen. He fucking hooked him inside his ear too. So
I didn't see that part.
He literally put like 2 fingers inside Dustin's ear at one point and was pulling on him. But he did some shit in the fight that should have been called. And going forward too, man, Eddie's been in a lot of wars, man. I don't know. Yep. He's got just a crazy chin though. It shouldn't have. That chin should have been done like 5 years ago, and it's still going. So who knows? He's all action. I think the UFC should absolutely sign him. I mean, I'd watch him fight Gaethje and Poirier and any one of those guys over and over. So,
man, there are some interesting fights coming up now.
You saw that latest one, the heavyweight one, or what, Jay?
Which one?
Arjun Buller versus Marcelo Gome.
Bueller?
The
Canadian?
For
the Canadian Indian.
Yeah.
The scary part is I've actually been to Moncton before.
Oh my goodness.
I know exactly. I think I'm one of the people on Earth.
You know, the UFC should literally just switch to this model. They should literally just do their entire fucking thing should be.
Did you see this Roosevelt guy just shaking hands with the freaking Anthony?
Yeah, he's been there tonight. Yeah, he's been there tonight.
Freaking awesome, dude. I'm gonna have to show my wife later. She's a huge fan. That's so funny. He's like a super fan. That's awesome.
Yep.
Now I'm just kind of looking ahead. So let's jump up to the UFC 227. Obviously we got the 2 title fights at the top and a couple interesting bouts on the main card. But what I think is really going on the radar, and we'll touch on this, is there are some sneaky good undercard fights of guys that aren't necessarily well known, but there's some real talent on the undercard, and I'm looking forward to kind of chatting briefly about some of those fights. First fight though, not so much, and I think it's going to be a mauling. We got Marlon Vera taking on something called Willie Buren.
The Van Buren boys.
He's a Chinaman. Oh. He's the goat.
The goat.
He's got an 11-5 record. I'll start with the Sodsman.
We'll go quick here. Vera's going to win this fight, and I'm going to be low points handicap when it comes out.
New Shaun.
It's minus 500, and the fight doesn't go to decisions plus money. That's not a good look for how shitty Marlon Vera is. So maybe look for him to finish the fight if this guy is as bad as what we think he is. Obviously, it's going to be a mauling.
Oh shit! I forgot Greg Hardy's fighting next week, boys.
Oh shit!
Ooh.
Oh man, that was hellacious. Still,
this
still
is not a daycare center.
What? Oh,
do we have any idea who he's fighting? Like, is he?
Who cares?
Well, I know who cares, but is he anything? Is he fighting anybody decent?
My guess is that if Hardy wins, they're going to give him a full contract.
Yeah,
it's just like, all right, let's see if it wasn't like a one-hit wonder.
Yep.
Yeah.
We need more of this Senko chick on like everything.
Yeah, she's fine. Yeah.
She's good at her job too. She's fine.
We know who should be promoted and who should lose her position, and that's where there's levels to this. Am I the only one who thinks it was going to be really sad when Contender Series ends after next week? Why is this thing only 8 weeks? Like, do at least like a winter thing.
No, that's not the guy Hardy's fighting, is it?
Yes, it is.
No. Oh my God, boys!
Stop me!
gonna be a fucking murder.
Tuesday Night Murder Series.
Yep, that's pretty much what's to come. Oh,
Dude.
that poor guy.
Right.
My
Already
God.
got favored 10-1.
Yeah, he'll still probably only be minus 400 or minus 500 just because it's heavyweights.
A crime. Oh, that is actually the main event next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hardy inside the
That
distance.
Kennedy guy's fighting next week, too. Enzo. Oh, they're bringing back a few. It looks like a few guys are coming back.
Well, we got a hell of a fight after the opener on the old 227, AJ.
I guess I should just give my grade. So I got Vera a C, and I got Old Van Buren an F. He is a Chinaman, and he is terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, there is no other way to put it. This guy lost a decision, like a clear decision to Rolando Die. Okay, guys,
Ugh.
Rolando Die, and that was his last fight. He's not good. Vera's actually improved quite a bit in his time in the UFC, and he's just at least 2 levels above Van Buren here. I think I'd be looking at the finish too, but like definitely the points handicap is definitely sneaky just to play it. But I mean, this guy, this is a lock in my opinion, and I don't even use that word often.
Oh,
so I'll take Vera. Next fight up, I'm not even going to talk about it. Danielle Taylor versus another Chinese fighter, Zhang Weili, and that's her UFC debut. New Shaun, I don't know the totals.
I did play the distance, but this Zhang chick is she's got a bunch of finishes. And
she's got a lot of trophies if you look at her.
Supposedly, she finished up her training camp at Jackson, so we might actually see her committing a crime on a little person in this fight, but hopefully the little person can hang on for 3 rounds.
I think so. Wes, any thoughts here?
Man, not really.
Okay.
I think Zhang's the pick. Fight goes decision.
Yeah, I really don't have a clue, to be honest with you. I'll have to watch a little bit of Zhang if I care to do so. I don't care. Next fight up. Well, let's see. Wait, we got contracts being given out. Let's see.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, I think.
Let's take a gander. Let's see. We said 3 in a developmental. Let's see if we nailed it.
Yeah.
Waiting there.
I don't who's the Roberts guy. He's also pretty young, so I don't know. Maybe they do a developmental deal with him because he's
not to.
I would think not, but the big man.
Looks like Adam's got a contract, a full contract.
Supposedly,
you got to give him one.
He weighed in at 283 pounds today. That's a big boy.
Yeah, I heard something earlier. They said he usually walks around at about 300. Like, that's insanity, dude. God damn.
Number 3?
Looks like 3 contracts.
Yeah, those were the right guys, probably.
So who didn't they give one to then?
The guy who beat the alpha male dude.
Yeah, Mays.
Oh, Griffin. They didn't give it to Griffin. Nope, they gave it to him too.
4 contracts. No Mays.
Those were that's some talent right there. I thought those guys all looked worthy.
Wow. 4 contracts? They're not even saying developmental deal? That's crazy. I mean,
there's some
some young guys. I mean, why have developmental deals when you can just have these fights on fucking the undercard? You might as well.
Yeah.
Especially with
you know what you do? You do like a developmental card, like a special.
Yep.
They could literally just give out 10 developmental deals and say, okay, next time we're going to do a one-off Contender Series and have you guys fight each other, and we'll give contracts then.
And my guess they didn't do developmental deals because next week's the last week, so
right.
You can't really. I mean, unless they're developing them in LFA, which is.
Are you really going to give up an NFL caliber heavyweight?
No.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Let them sprawl.
Let them go.
Let them go. Simple as that. Bantamweight bout up next. We got Korea's Kyung Ho Kang taking on Ricardo Ramos, the Brazilian. This should be competitive. Wes, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't have too much of an opinion on this fight, and I need to look at it a little bit closer. Kang's a tough dude, though, man. I don't know about laying over 2-1 here on this young Brazilian, but he did look pretty good his last time out. So I'm gonna look at it a little bit closer. Ramos probably the pick right now. I think he's a little bit better, but definitely go look at it a little bit closer. No bet.
You, Shaun.
Yeah, I don't have much either. I thought a little bit less of Ramos than I think West did against Zahabi. I thought Zahabi was in there, and I don't think too much of him, unfortunately. But he did
because he's Canadian?
Yeah. But Ramos did get a finish in there, so I mean you can't. He did land that spinning back fist, so I mean that's always nice. I'm probably gonna pick Gung Ho Kang. Don't have a bet on him, but I think I need to look into it a little bit more before I put some money down.
People forget that Kang's already 30 years old, turns 31 in a month or so. Yep. And he's only fought once, literally in the last 40 years. I guess he had Korean military duty, maybe.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, and he triangled Guido Canet. It's Guido Canet. So it's just kind of one you got to just be weary of. I mean, Ramos came in with a good amount of hype. I think he was an LFA too, right, Wes? I believe he was.
Yeah, he was.
Came in with a good amount of hype, younger, long for the weight class. I mean, I kind of expect this to be kind of a grappling affair, and who can out-grapple the other. I mean, I think Kang is he has some decent wrestling chops, but I just think Ramos is just much more gifted from a submission basis, and that could cause some trouble for Kang. I wouldn't be surprised if Ramos found a choke, because just from a scramble or some sort of situation like that. So I'm going to take Ramos, but the price is probably be $5 range, not in the minus 210 range or minus 215 range. So just my 2 cents there. In terms of grades, I have Kang. I have both these guys a C minus actually, so pretty even. Next bout up, one I'm pretty excited about. Shorty Torres taking on Alex Perez in what should be a pretty entertaining flyweight matchup. Wes, what do you think?
Yeah, this should be really good. I think this is a fairly close fight. Perez impressed me last time out against Shelton. Man, I was pretty high on Shelton, and that was a pretty decent win. I think Shorty Torres, man, I think he's been better over time. I know it was he was probably losing that Brooks fight until fucking he did some of the dumbest shit you'll ever see in a fight. It's knocking himself out, but man, I think that was just that was a big fight for Shorty Torres, man, because Shorty Torres has been one of the best regional guys for the past few years. And that was a huge fight for him finally getting to the UFC and stuff. He even talked about it before the fight. So I'm banking on here that he's settled in now. This is going to be his second fight. You're going to see more of his skills in this fight. And, I just think on the feet here, I mean, Shorty Torres is a champion kickboxer in the past and stuff. I think he's just better here on the feet. He's got the takedown defense to keep it standing. If it does hit the mat, though, I mean, Perez he's got some skills there, but Shorty Torres is no slouch on the mat either. So I just think this is going to be a 3-round kickboxing match, and I like Shorty Torres here at plus money, and I took a little bit of that.
New Shaun, what do you think of this bout?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Wes says. I think it was definitely UFC jitters for Torres. I mean, Jared Brooks, we've seen some things from him that show that he's a pretty decent fighter, but he definitely did knock himself out, which was pretty funny. But what we've seen in the past with Shorty Torres in Titan is a really, really good kickboxer. It's surprising to see that many finishes for such a small guy, but this guy is legit. Alex Perez, that was a nice win against Shelton, but I think we have been kind of overstating what we think we think Eric Shelton's a lot better than what he actually is, and he kind of hasn't really grown into what we expected. So I definitely think Shorty Torres is going to be able to pick Perez apart on the feet and get either a decision or maybe a late stoppage.
Yeah, this is good. This is going to be pretty good, and I think the rest of the TV card you'll see is a lot of competitive, very interesting bouts. I got Torres a C and Perez a C minus. Torres came into UFC with a lot of hype, never lost. Definitely a lot of talent, especially in the striking department, and pretty well experienced already despite the young age. Definitely pretty skilled on the mat, like Wes was kind of alluding to. But I'm going to take Torres as well. I think plus money on a guy with a lot of experience, young. I think there was some jitters in his first UFC fight, which he ultimately came back and won, but I think you got to go with him again. I mean, I think there's certainly a talent difference, and I'll take the guy that I rate higher versus the guy the favorite that I rate a little bit lower. So Torres is the bet, and he's our consensus bet of the week, Shorty Torres, and that pays new Shaun is that plus 110,
plus 120.
Plus 120, even better. Shorty Torres plus 120. There's only 3 bouts so far scheduled on the prelim card. I'm assuming the Ramos-Kang fight will go to the prelims, but I guess we'll see. But just on paper, you can make a case that this is arguably, it may not be the best TV prelim card of the year, but it's really close. There's a lot of talent. All 6 of these guys are pretty good and are going to be in the UFC, I think, for a decent amount of time. First one up, we got Shaman Moraes, who came over from World Series of Fighting, taking on Tuesday Night Contender Series sign up, Matt Sales. Wes, what do you think here?
Yeah, I kind of like Moraes in this spot here. I know Sales, we was talking about earlier, he's definitely got some power, man, but there's a lot out there on him. The Series and got a pretty nice ground and pound knockout. But that's about it that's out here on this guy. Shaman Moraes this dude's been in there with some of the better guys outside the UFC. His only losses is to Marlon Moraes, the guy that I probably think is the guy right there for a title shot in this weight class, and then everybody's favorite, Zabit. So that's not bad. Just skill wise here, man. I just think he's the far better guy. If he can just not get caught by something big, I just don't see how he can't get a win here. So I'm going to take a small shot. That power does scare me a little bit, but at minus 110 on a guy that I think is just a couple levels better and been in there with far, far better competition. Yeah, I got to take a chance there. So, yeah, Moraes for me, minus 110, nothing big, but I like him here.
Who's Shaun?
Yeah, Sales definitely has some good power. His 7 wins, he has 6 of them by KO. So Moraes is going to have to definitely watch that, especially early on. Moraes has never been finished by strikes. He's been in there with a lot higher competition. I do think it's a close fight, and Sales definitely has that power. So, but I lean Moraes in this fight just from the experience, being on the bigger stage against a lot better fighters, and having a pretty damn good chin. So I'll pick him, no bet, but if the line starts to move Sales' way, I'll have to take Moraes as the dog.
Yeah, this should be a really interesting fight. Wes is definitely right that the experience definitely is with Moraes. He's certainly, his time with World Series fight, like Louis fighter Robbie Peralta, Marlon Moraes, and then obviously fought Zabit previously. Not that he did very well against either of those two really, really, really good fighters, but he certainly fought them, and he's been around a lot longer. Sales is still relatively unknown besides having an absolute piston in his hand, and that makes him dangerous. just based on experience alone, I mean, Moraes is only 27 still. I mean, he's super young. For that level of experience, muscular. I don't know if you want him. I think you kind of have to lean towards Moraes until Sales kind of proves himself against quality competition. But this is not a fight I think you want to have a lot of money on, just because. Let's just see what Sales really has to offer, because what I saw in the Contender Series, I came away really impressed. But let's see him do it against a guy who I think is a pretty high level fighter. Prove it to me, and then we can talk. Next fight up, one that I think is going to be I think this might be the best fight on the undercard, honestly. You have Montel Jackson, who came from that first episode of the Contender Series and was really impressive, taking on Ricky Simon. I believe comes out of good old Lab. I think he might be a Lab guy. Am I right about that?
I don't know.
No.
Sure, doggy. It's Gracie Baja. Portland.
Yeah, you're right.
Portland.
For some reason, I thought he was a Lab guy, but
feels like a Lab guy.
He has a good win. He beat Merab, and who was gigantic. Chico Camus, Donovan Freelo. A lot of good wins so far in his career. So this should be a little slobber knocker. Wes, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is another kind of close fight. A couple young guys that seem to be on the come up. From what I've seen, I want to look at it a little closer, but just from what I've looked at so far, I mean, I'm leaning Simon here, man. I think he's just the more all around better guy here. We talk about the competition level when you get to this stage, and he's definitely been in there, I think, with the better guys. But just from just from the recent stuff, he's just looked all around better to me. I think he can win this fight wherever it gets to. I'm not sure about a bet here, though. I'm kind of going to watch and see where the line goes. Simon's sitting at, I believe, minus 125 right now. He's come down quite a bit. So if Simon gets anywhere close to even money plus money, I'll probably take a little stab. But I just think he's a little better at this point.
New Shaun.
That's a tough fight to cap. Montel Jackson's only had 3 professional fights, all within the last 13 months. So it's hard to know what he is. Obviously, he looked pretty damn impressive on the Contender Series, but when a guy has that little amount of fights, it's tough to side with him when he's going against a guy that's been in, a lot of the bigger, like, regional organizations, as well as he's already had a UFC fight. So, Ricky Simon, good fight against Valishvili, beat Chico Camus and LFA. Like, those are pretty solid wins. So, I'll side with him. Like Wes said, if it gets to plus money, I might just have to sprinkle just on that. But, hopefully it's just a really good, fun fight, and we'll, figure out where, Montel Jackson is at in his career.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with both these guys, kind of go with the same thing. Don't need to go any further with it. I think it's like these guys are young in their own right. I'm a prospect still, even though, they already fought in the UFC. So, and just the level of competition is just so much higher. And it's just like the last fight. Prove to me you're at this level before I can potentially bet you. That's what it comes down to. Even though both guys that came from the Contender Series, I think, I liked what I saw. But you got to prove it to me against real competition before I become a believer. It's sometimes it's really hard to tell just how good somebody is until they're there. So that's kind of the way I see that one. Brett Johns and Pedro Munoz headline the TV portion of this fight card. Wes, I know you've been looking forward to this bout. Break it down for us.
Yeah, this probably should just be madness. I'm kind of leaning Pedro here. I think this fight's probably going to turn into a lot of crazy scrambles and a lot of clinching and stuff more than any kind of kickboxing match. I just think in those kind of situations, Munoz is just, man, he's strong. Munoz is strong when he gets a hold of people, man, and I just think he's going to be able to kind of use that in Big Brother John's in this fight. I don't know about a bet here though. John's is still pretty good. He's still sneaky. I'm fairly certain Munoz wins this fight, but that price is creeping up. I might look at Munoz inside the distance or by sub. I think he can catch him in something when they do get in one of those crazy scrambles that I think is going to happen. But as far as a pick goes, I like Munoz here and going to look at inside the distance or sub.
Shaun, you think there's a finish in this bout?
I hope not. I bet the fight to go to the decision at minus 145. I just played it for $100. It's as much as you can get on the old openers, but yeah. So hopefully the craziness that Wes is talking about doesn't happen too much, because I might be losing a bet if that's the case. Munoz,
John's is tough though, man. He's tough.
Munoz does have that crazy guillotine that he's grabbed on a lot of guys. So Johns will have to be pretty careful of that. He's obviously has a pretty decent sub game himself, so I think he's able to kind of stop that as good as he can, and this kind of becomes a striking match where Pedro Munoz is just a better striker at this point. So I think this goes to decision. I think Pedro Munoz wins a fairly one-sided one fight, but yeah, and that's how I see it going.
I got Munoz to B- and Brett Johns a C. I think this is one of those fights where there's a guy who's like a moderate favorite, and it's just a good price to bet. It's one of those that you're like, I understand why he's favored. I understand why he's not a gigantic favorite, but he ultimately wins this like 75% of the time. I kind of see it that way. He's got a striking advantage on the feet. I think Johns is just not very good. And, we saw in his last fight against Sterling, he really wasn't up to snuff even against someone who could really grapple. And then even if he tries takedowns, obviously he's going to make himself very vulnerable to Munoz, who's has an extremely good guillotine choke and can get almost anybody in that regard. I mean, it's not Brian Ortega level, but it's pretty good. So I'm just struggling mentally, picturing a way that Brett Johns could win this fight, and at right around 2-1 odds, I think Munoz is definitely worthy of consideration of a bet. You could even parlay Vera with Munoz, and you're getting close to even money there. Two guys that I think have clear advantages and should win their bouts. So food for thought there. Main card. This is a line I know we're going to disagree with across the board. We got Cub Swanson taking on Renato Moicano, and Cub Swanson getting a lot of disrespect from the bookmakers. A 3-1 underdog? Wes, what's going on here?
It's the bettors, not the odds makers. The odds makers at 165.
Yeah, I think
some disrespect.
I think the odds makers were a little bit closer to how I would look at this fight. I think we could see a Dustin Ortiz situation here, man. I do think that Moicano is a better fighter at this point than fucking Nicolau is at this point. But I mean, Cub is a tough veteran, man. That there is absolute pass for him to win this fight. It's almost just the line at this point. I mean, Dustin Ortiz was almost a 2-1 underdog. Cub here is literally over a 3-1 dog against this guy. I mean, I'm a believer. I think Moicano is really, really good, but there's no way Cub should be that price here. So, I think Moicano wins this fight more times than not. Man, I absolutely got to take a little chance here. So I will be on Cub here, and I will not be surprised if he can grind here for 3 rounds and get a split decision. So, yeah, I'll take a little Cub here at over 3-1.
New Shaun.
Yeah, this line is wild. I don't know if everybody thinks that the Cub's just done. I know we kind of thought he was done after he got murdered like way back against Frankie and then Holloway back to back. But after that fight, he reeled off 4 straight wins. And now he's lost 2 in a row, but against the elite of the elite, Ortega and Edgar again. Moicano is good. He's steadily got better and better. It was a pretty impressive win against Stevens to be able to stick to a game plan and not get thrown into a firefight against a guy with a lot more power than you. Looked pretty good against Calvin Kattar as well, but Cub Swanson's been in there against a lot of good guys, and he's even come out on top against some really good guys. He is 34. He did have a kid recently, so there are definitely some things going against him.
Dad quit?
I sure as hope not. Dad quit. I put a unit on him at plus 370. I was able to get. I think that number is insane. I mean, even if Moicano was a minus 200 favorite, I could see it. I mean, I do think Moicano wins more often than not, but man, plus 370 or plus even what it is now, plus 320 on a guy that's pretty damn good fighter is tough to pass up. I might lose the bet, but these are the bets you kind of have to play.
Yeah, I got both these guys a B, and not to beat a dead horse, I will say that I agree with pretty much everything New Shaun alluded to. There's certainly points for Kano, but this line is just really disrespectful for a guy who I think was beating Brian Ortega up until guillotine crazy choke land. So that's that. Next fight up, I believe, is a women's fight. New Shaun, I'm sure you're excited.
Very excited.
Polyana Viana, man, versus TJ Aldrich.
What do we got, Wes?
Jay, you're passing over the moneymaker, Jay.
Which one? Oh, yeah, right. I almost forgot. So we actually have a second consensus bet this week. It's only a half bet, but we got a half bet on Cub Swanson. We're going to take the shot. So all this week we need is one of the 2 bets to hit to be ahead. And what price do we got there, New Shaun?
Plus 325.
Plus 325. Not so bad. Not too shabby. So yeah, moving up now. We got the women's fight between JJ Aldrich and Polyana Viana. Wes, is there any angle here?
I mean, I'm not touching this fight, but I guess you could look at fight goes decision, right? I mean, that's about what happens in all these. So yeah, I don't know who I'm going to pick yet. I'll probably decide the day of with Toutmaster, but I'm not touching this fight. If you want to have some kind of action, bet fight goes to decision.
I'm struggling to remember Polyana Viana.
She dummied Stevenson's wife last time.
Yeah, Stevens' wife is terrible.
Oh, yeah. She's one of the worst fighters, literally one of the worst fighters to ever fight in the UFC, ever.
Yeah.
I mean, Aldrich actually has some talent.
They're both fucking horrible, and it's a fucking joke.
Terrible.
It's a joke.
How is Viana minus 250 in this fight?
Because she gets finishes.
Oh, man.
I know. Who knows who the fuck 99% of these girls are that she's finishing, but she's finishing them. Yeah, this is a joke that this is on a pay-per-view. I don't want to even talk about it. I didn't even play this doesn't go decision.
Part of me believes the UFC is contracted to have a women's bout in every pay-per-view.
I would like.
I want to go back.
I'm
going to go back and take a look. I don't know if I even want to waste my time.
Don't do it. It's a fucking waste of time. If you were able to get Viano wins inside the distance at plus 345, then that was a decent number. Now it's plus 150. I wouldn't fucking touch it. Hopefully this fight just gets canceled. That would be cool with me.
We already got one canceled on this one.
I know.
Here.
One chick fight down. One more.
That's the one I actually wanted to see, though.
I do have Viano C and Aldrich a C minus. I'm leaving it at that.
Yep.
I'm going to say Aldrich is not a far dog. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, next fight. We got 3 fights left. We got the debut of Kevin Holland from another Contender Series guy. So we got 3 of them on this fight card, taking on Thiago Santos. Wes?
Yeah, I'll keep it pretty simple. I kind of liked Holland going into Contender Series. I wasn't too impressed on there. I don't know if he was just fighting not to lose, but I wasn't overly impressed. I think he's in deep here. I think Santos inside the distance.
Interesting.
That's all you need.
The last 6 pay-per-view fights have had a women's bout on the main card.
Jesus Christ.
Going back to UFC 222, 223, 224, 25, 26, 27.
You might be onto something, and that's fucking brutal is what that is.
221 and 220 did not. I'd have to examine it more beyond that, but yeah, the last 6. So I'm willing to bet that there is some sort of
clause.
I don't know if it's a clause, but something. Who knows? It could be something with the pay-per-view companies. I don't even want to speculate. Yeah. I don't want to. So we got Thiago Santos and Kevin Holland. Wes.
Yeah, Wes already talked. Santos inside the distance is only minus 190. It actually hasn't moved yet, which is a bit surprising. He's up to minus 400. I was very shocked that he got knocked out by David Branch, who hasn't really shown much for punching power. So that's a little scary going into this one. That's probably why I'm not touching it. But what
about fight doesn't go the distance minus 420 parlay material?
I don't like parlaying minus 400s. I like trying to find a different way. Maybe I should go the old chalky route, but I'll pick Santos. He should.
Chalky fight picks?
Chalky fight picks. Yeah, I don't roll that way, but to each their own.
Buy my package.
There you go. I love that package, Wes.
I do like chalky fight. I usually like fight doesn't go the distance with the 5-rounders. I'm willing to pay it usually for that, especially if I think a guy has a gas tank problem. But yeah, I agree. 3 rounds it can be definitely be a little iffy. This is tough. I mean, both guys are pretty good strikers. I mean, we've seen Santos' chin be kind of vulnerable. My only issue here is Collins more of a welterweight and he's moving up to middleweight, and he might get kind of big brothered by a more powerful man. But no, you could kind of tout master the dog here and kind of hope for it. I mean, would you feel super comfortable with Thiago Santos minus 400? I mean, I wouldn't. So
no.
2 title fights, 2 rematch title fights from what we've seen previously. First one up, I'll let Shaun start it based on his love affair with Demetrious Johnson, the Twitch match there. You got Demetrious Johnson taking on former Olympic gold medalist. I don't know if you could really say former Olympic gold medalist. You just say Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
You're always that, right? Like president. Yeah.
Yep.
Henry Cejudo, Shaun. Do you think this is going to look any different than the first bout?
Obviously, I don't expect DJ to finish him in the first round. But I don't get the trendiness of this Henry Cejudo pick. I know some people are obviously putting down some money on him. I know there's a bunch of people that are kind of picking him, but I think that's just something that people do when you have a dominant champion and you got a big
to be different.
Yeah, just to be different.
They got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
DJ is so fucking good. He is so good, and he is getting better. Cejudo for sure is getting better, but the gap is still insane. It's also flyweight, so it's hard. Cejudo has unreal wrestling, but do you know how hard it is to keep down like most flyweights? Never mind Demetrious Johnson. Like, he's not going to be able to lay on him, so he's supposed to outstrike him over 5 rounds. Good luck. I did bet fight doesn't go to distance when it was right when it came out. It was plus 145. It's moved now. It's about minus 120 each way. I will be betting DJ when his points handicap comes out. It's probably going to be in the minus 200 range. I'll definitely lay that. This is going to be another thing where we're going to be like, okay, what's DJ going to do next? Because he's cleaned out the division again. So hopefully after he dummies Cejudo, he'll go in after the main event and challenge whoever wins the main event, because that would be a really good fight.
Wes, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's very close to Shaun. I mean, the thing about DJ is it's like, great, he's one of the best out there and stuff, but I still don't think he's the dude that he should get. Like technically, and as just by skill, take any other thing out of it, power, size, whatever, he might be the best fighter in the sport game, man. And like Shaun said, he's getting better. I mean, he's the 2 arm bars he's pulled out in his last 2 fights are insane, man. He wasn't doing that a couple years ago, so he's getting better. Now, I will say Cejudo, I do expect a better fight this time. DJ's, I don't see him finish him in the first round. Cejudo wants this. I will give him that. That guy, he lives and breathes right now to beat Demetrious Johnson. The problem is he'll never, ever be able to get as good as Demetrious Johnson is. He doesn't have the time to close that skill gap. Like Shaun said, and in the flyweight division, they all scramble so well. He's not going to be able to lay on top of DJ and grind out rounds. I don't know about a finish this time, but I think this is going to just be another wide DJ decision at the very least. And like Shaun said, I have 4 or 5 parlays that I've put shit together over the past couple of weeks, and all of them have one spot open. They'll all be closed with DJ's points handicap. I don't hate the fight inside the distance at that plus number. That's pretty nice. But man, we're witnessing an all-time great, man. You take DJ out of this and any other time, and Cejudo is probably a champ for years. I mean, Cejudo is that damn good, and it's just he's a once in a generation fighter, man. We should really appreciate it. And it really sucks that a lot of MMA fans will never ever appreciate his talents, just because they look at it as a little guy fighting. I just don't look at MMA like that. I've watched way too much Japanese MMA over the years to see great 145, 135 pound guys that are just amazing technically to watch. You don't have to have stand up and just bang bro knockouts in every fight, you know. So yeah, DJ for me, love the points handicap. Can't wait to watch him perform.
Yeah, I see Demetrious still as an A++, and Henry Cejudo an A. I was a person who thought Cejudo, if there was going to be a guy that was going to have a shot at beating Demetrious Johnson in the relatively short term, 3 years ago or so, it was going to be Cejudo, just because he offers something. He has a skill that's better than Demetrious has at a particular discipline, and I don't know if there's anybody else in that division that has a skill that is better at that particular skill than what Demetrious has. And that gap should close a bit. I mean, Cejudo has definitely shown some good pop in his punches. I mean, he's still, he obviously has some boxing, decent boxing techniques. Golden Gloves, and it's certainly improving as he's not just training in wrestling anymore. Obviously, his wrestling chops are excellent. At some point, Demetrious is gonna start to slow down. I mean, It's just the reality of life. He's not going to be 50.
Not anytime soon.
He's not going to be fighting at 50 at some point. I mean, it's just so hard to know when that's going to be. I mean, obviously, if we're looking at everything from a past perspective, it's hard to see a way that Cejudo wins, just because I think he'd just get outstruck by a guy who's going to be moving too quickly. I mean, every time Cejudo throws, Demetrious is somewhere else. So if I'm looking at it just based on that, I mean, yeah, I think Demetrious wins a striking contest. Just lands more, throws more, lands more. As simple as that. I think there's a possibility this ends up going to the scorecards as well. So I'm going to take Demetrious to win. But like I said, both times he fought Cejudo, if it's going to happen, if Johnson's going to lose in the UFC in the next couple of years, I think it would be this fight, because in this weight class. Because right now, looking at the flyweight division, I just don't see another guy that even, is even on Cejudo's level. He's a level above even everybody else there. So,
you're dead on there, Jay. I think if it was going to happen, it would be Cejudo. I just don't think it's still even close. Cejudo's way better than everybody else besides DJ. It's insane.
Yeah, we've definitely seen Benavidez take a drop too, and it was a shame. And I think it was pretty shameful in hindsight that Benavidez even was given that decision over Cejudo, whatever year that was.
I even bet Joe B in that fight because he was good line and thought that he lost that fight.
He lost.
The bad thing is that we'll never get a prime Horiguchi to fight DJ. I think that is the only other guy that showed any kind of skill. He just got thrown way too early, but it really sucks. Hopefully he makes his way back over eventually, because I think that's the only other fight that makes any kind of sense that would have any sort of, drama in it, is a Horiguchi 4 or 5 years later against DJ.
Yeah, the only other real possibility is some freak comes over from Eastern Europe that we really don't know about yet, that just has like crazy wrestling chops as well. That's just really it. I mean, from a striking perspective, it's hard to see, or like a Peter Yan kind of a guy with just like these like crazy spinning strikes, and maybe catches. I mean, anybody can be caught, right? I mean, it's when in terms of that kind of prowess. So that's really it. I mean, unless Demetrious slows down at some point, it's kind of hard to really see when that happens, because it hasn't happened yet. Main event time. I mean, I'm looking forward to this, but only because I want to see one guy really lose. We got Cody hanging with the boys. Garbrandt taking on TJ Dillashaw. We'll start with Wes. What do you got?
Yeah, this is. Again, they're running it back. This is a great fight, man. These are two of the most skilled guys you can get at this weight, man. I think TJ's boxing though is legitimately like, I'm a huge boxing fan, always have been. I've watched so much boxing. TJ's legit. That guy's boxing is so legit. Just go pull up his sparring videos with Loma, and he holds his own with one of the best technical boxers that's probably ever lived, and that's fucking saying something, man. So I always enjoy watching TJ step into the cage, man, and I think you gotta look at it how you looked at the first one, man. If TJ can fight his fight and stay away from that power, I think he's gonna win again. I bet him in the first fight. The number was a whole lot better than it is this time. But I'm gonna go back to the well here, man. I just think overall TJ's the better fighter. it's that power of Garbrandt that of course you got to worry about, and anybody's going to have to worry about. TJ got a little hurt in that first fight. Probably got lucky that the round ended, but he's always had good recovery skills. You have to worry about that Garbrandt power. It's for real, but I like TJ here again, and I'll be betting him again.
You, Shaun. Are you in agreement? Is TJ gonna keep the title?
I'm going to pick him, but not bet him. I think this is a very close fight. Like Wes said, Dillashaw, I think he's got better recovery than Garbrandt. Garbrandt has obviously much more power. Dillashaw has more varied strikes. His boxing is very clean. He's got kicks as well. But both these guys can be knocked out, it looks like.
Yeah.
I'm going a little bit contrarian on this one. I'm going to bet fight goes to the decision. My thoughts on that are these guys both got dropped in the first. I think it'll be more of a feeling out process. Dillashaw's been to quite a few decisions. Garbrandt's been to a couple. I mean, he went to decision against Cruz. I think it goes to a decision more than what the odds are saying. It's plus 220 right now. I haven't bet it yet. I'm waiting for it to be opened up on a couple other books, but I think it has a somewhat of a shot to go decision. Both these guys, I think, are going to tighten up. There's not as much animosity after the first fight.
Galbrandt's really going to tighten up more, I think, Shaun. I think you're exactly right about that.
Yeah, and if you like Dillashaw, maybe to win by decision, plus 400 right now for Dillashaw by decision. That might not be bad for somebody who likes that, but I'll pick Dillashaw. Just the better overall fighter, better recovery. I think he wins a decision, and I'll be betting the goes to decision prop.
Yeah, both guys an A+. I mean, this is I have to disagree with you, Shaun, just because I just think both guys have chin concerns, and it's really tough. I mean, that's not. I'm not trying to be a contrarian. I just it's just hard to see not one of these guys getting knocked out just because of. Certainly Garbrandt has power, and and then on the flip side, he's been knocked out a few times himself. And just the animosity between them. I mean, I don't know. It's hard. I don't see Garbrandt as a feeling out process kind of a guy. I mean, maybe more from Dillashaw I can see that because I think he's way more tactical. But Garbrandt to me is just kind of like an alpha kind of a guy. Like I'm going to beat you the way I know how to beat you, and that's it. And it's just going to lend itself to something happening. I mean, I think
we kind of stopped talking about the Garbrandt past concussion problems. Like that's kind of been like an afterthought lately, you know.
And no one's really mentioned it. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I don't know how you really look into that, but it's definitely a concern. I mean, but from a technical standpoint, I think Dillashaw is definitely superior. There's just way better IQ, way better coaching, more technical ability in the striking, and I think a better wrestler too. But again, power is a concern. Dillashaw has had chin concerns. He's older as well. It's tough to have it's tough to really have a lot of money, bet on either scenario just because of the chin concerns. But I'm going to take Dillashaw. I think he repeats, and I think he's going to get another finish over Cody, who I think maybe, I think TJ might just have his number. So that just about does it for our UFC 227 coverage. This is the last event
for a little while
of the UFC's kind of their summer kind of international fight week window. I think it's been 5 or 6 straight weeks with an event, and then there's a 3-week break until they head to, of all places, Lincoln, Nebraska, for what should be an absolute doozy between Justin Gaethje and good old
rapist
Vic.
apologizer.
Yeah, the rapist apologist. You got it. James
God.
Vic.
Please put him to sleep.
Please
put him to sleep.
Please.
Yeah. Justin Gaethje will certainly become a friend of the MMA Analysis if that result happens. Until then, enjoy the fights, and looking to see when we come back a nice little consensus winner. Hopefully, we can get that one with the plus 300 odds. So, should be fun. Any last thoughts, guys?
No, just we got one more week of Contender Series. Greg Hardy is headlining, so we're probably going to see another kill on that, and then we're going to have a bit of a break. So enjoy it before the next string of events starts again.
Yeah. Also, you got what I think is the other probably best product on TV besides the Contender Series. PFL's got a very nice card Thursday too, so. That should be fun. We got plenty of MMA to keep us busy.
You betcha.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised PFL hasn't had injuries yet.
Well, they did have one.
Just one? Who?
What's his name got dropped out and Jason High's taken his place? Is it Foster? Brian Foster?
Brian Foster, yeah. Out of the main event this Thursday.
I'm waiting for this whole thing to just kind of shit the bed where like everybody's going to get injured as they get to the finals and it's going to be total guys.
Don't ruin the fun, Jay. Come on now.
Man, I mean, look at this card coming up is just ridiculous, man. Vinny Magalhaes against Hosley. You got the Magomedov against Firmino. Will Brooks against Watley. Chris Wade against some Japanese guy. Thiago Tavares. Like they keep the cards are great. Yeah, the cards are great, man. It's
better than what it was.
Better than Bellator.
This is what Bellator wanted to be, I think. Like, straight up. Some names on there, some decent young Russians and shit. Like, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think it's good. It's a very good product.
Hell yeah.
It could definitely be worse. I'm not against it. So, we'll see. Hopefully we have, some returning champions to talk about once we come back from the break. So everybody, until then, enjoy the fights.